Alright, hello everybody, welcome back to another challenge video. This was going to be my second one. My first one was a couple months ago, back in January, but it's been a while for multitude of reasons I'm not going to get into. So the footage you're going to see, the gameplay in the background is going to be from a couple months ago, so like the raids you're going to be seeing are going to be like G-Max Alchemy and stuff, but regardless, that's besides the point. So if you weren't aware by the thumbnail and title and everything you clicked in this video for, the Pokemon I'm using for Pokemon Sword and Shield is going to be Applin. So, Applin sucks. Its base stats are all pretty low, except for its defense, which is base 80. That makes Eviolite amazing. Eviolite's great. But then you have to get to the Fairy Gym for that, meaning there's struggles before then, and honestly, it doesn't help much past that point, because the gyms you're fighting, at least in Pokemon Shield, are very not good for a Grass Dragon type. Looking at you, Melanie. Anyway, so Applin's moves, you know, the exceptional moves that makes this challenge what it is it gets 2 level up moves, 1 TM, and 4 egg moves. Great. The rules for the challenge are pretty simple. It's what everyone else does for these videos. I can only use 1 Applin in battle, no glitches or whatever, no cheating, and no items in battle. I can use health items because otherwise I would suffer and not win the game. For this challenge, I sort of cheated, I guess, maybe. I don't know if anyone else has done Applin at this point. No one has that I've seen. But, like, I used an Applin with Rollout and Sucker Punch and Bulletproof because I didn't want to hate my life. However, I do think Bulletproof may not have been the best idea, but I'll get into that later, maybe, if I don't. Unlucky. But yeah, it's still Applin, therefore it counts. Still the Applin only challenge, regardless. Leave suggestions for challenges in the comments, and while you're in the comments, you want to leave a like? Yeah? No? Okay. So, I had to use Salvo for the beginning of this game up until the wild area because I'm not about that hacking life, so I couldn't really get my Applin as a starter, so I had to wait until the wild area where I traded it as an egg, because if it's an egg, then you hatch it, and then you're the original trainer, and you can use it without it not listening to you when it gets stupid high level, because it's an Applin, and it's going to be level 100 by the end of this, because it's an Applin. So after hatching the Applin, I learned very quickly that Applin has a erratic leveling curve, which implies that its levels are really slow at the start and really fast later on. So that proves to be an issue at the start because I ended up having to catch 1,000,000 Pokemon just to get enough levels to manage a Hone Edge raid, to get the experience candies, to juice up my Apple and get it all strong, just to be able to survive. So did that, got the leftovers in the wild area because Hell Items are allowed, and that's like one of the best ones you can get early game. It's also cannibalism. Yeah. After grabbing the leftovers, I went to Motostoke for story and plot and clothing stores. So, got my clothes, got decked out, all sick and cool, like a cool gamer would. So, I went to fight Team Yell, and they got destroyed because my Apple is big and beefy and defensive. And then, I went to fight Hop, but I knew he was level 14, so I'm like, okay, hold up, let me go train some with my gamer grind hours. And I went to go gamer grind, grinded in the wild area, got my experience, and then swept Hop with Rollout because that's the only move that my Applin really had. After Hop was loser hour time with Bead, where I battled Bead for, you guessed it, an hour. First attempt, Rollout misses turn 1, so that's great for me. Solosis goes down to 2 more Sucker Punches, but the Hatina eats the hit, knocks me out with the Disarming Voice. This is what I get for talking trash, but anyway. Tried again with Sucker Punch spam, and then, of course, the Gothita has Tickle, which lowers my attack stat and also can't be Sucker Punched, and then I lose because I can't do any damage, just because Psybeam does insane damage as well. And then I trained to level 18, where I'm like, oh, I got this, bro, I'm gonna sweep you, and then I was literally like 1 HP off of beating the Solosis, and it lived, and then it hit me, and then I died, and then lost again. So I trained to get to level 20, like a gamer would, got to Gothita with like 40-something HP, like a god. And then it was Astonish versus Tickle spam, where it took me 3 years, but I'm a pro gamer, came out on top, beat him up, easy win, screw you, Bead's trash, and nobody will convince me otherwise, he's ugly. After Loser was defeated, time to fight the gym leader, go to fight Milo, because, you know, that's the order of the game. Go to fight Milo, I hit Rollout against Gossifleur, which all 4 of them hit, and then 5th one hits Eldegoss, which does decent damage, granted it was Dynamax, so it does a little bit less. And then I go super big Apple mode, and then go for Max Darkness, then Max Phantasm, then Max Darkness again, then Astonish, and then he dies. So, in conclusion, Eldegoss is very OP, should not be that tanky, should be nerfed, and I got my first badge. Yeah. After that, I grabbed a track from Route 5 because it's literally the only TM that Applin can learn because it's a very attractive apple. And on the way there, I ran into a trainer who had a Minccino with Encore and Tickle. which implied that they would encore me into my Sucker Punch, because that's what I tried to go for, and then spam Tickle to lower my attack, all while not allowing me to, you know, hit it with my Sucker Punch. And then I ended up losing that battle. It took like 20 minutes. It was not enjoyable, and it was crazy. Then there were 2 semi-major battles with Team Yell, and then there was Hop, and both of them just got swept by Rollout because that's the best move in the game, you know? Next up was the second gym, and the first attempt I lost immediately because I got flinched by an Arrokuda, and that's probably not why I lost, but that's why I'm going to blame on, you know, my loss. I went and trained a little bit more and came back at level 26 and tried again, but literally there was not even any chance of beating the Dreadnought at all. So I came back at level 32 and tried again, but I lost again because I got flinched again. And then in my second attempt at level 32, I did not get flinched by the Arrokuda, but then I missed my 5th roll against Dreadnought because, of course, I did. So I Dynamaxed into Super Mega Big Apple and then swept them with Dynamax moves because the Dreadnought couldn't do any damage to me because I'm an Applin. So got my second badge, easy peasy, moving on to the Galar Mines number 2, aka the most originally named place in the game, you know, second to Galar Mines number 1. And then, of course, just like the first time, I had to battle Bede. So this time, he stood literally no chance. He didn't even come close to causing as much issue as last time, and he just got swept by Sucker Punch. After beating Bede, we battled Team Yell alongside Hop, and then went into the first battle against Marnie, and got completely swept by her Krogunk's Venoshock. I went back into the wild area and grinded, and every couple levels I would come back super confident that I could beat her, only to lose again until level 41, where I was able to beat the Krogunk with a couple Sucker Punches, and then the Scraggy was attracted, because Apple's very attractive, and then I roll up the Scraggy to death, attract the Morpeko, and then I get flinched by Bite, which is really annoying because it stops my rollout. However, I then win the battle again because my Apple is very attractive, and the Morpeko is unable to do anything to resist me. After beating Marnie, I went to battle Kabu, and I was pretty confident that I was going to win this for some reason, because I had rollout. I'm like, wow, this is quad effective against Centiskorch. I'll destroy him as long as I outspeed, and I can eventually level to outspeed, and I severely underestimated this gym battle. So the Ninetales burns you turn 1 with Will-O-Wisp, which is super really annoying because it halves your attack stat, and all my moves at this point in the game are physical attacks. So the Arcanine then, after the Ninetales Will-O-Wisps you, intimidates you to lower your attack even further, and at this point I'm just like, okay, I have to be able to counter this somehow. I used a Lumberry to prevent one of the Will-O-Wisps, but then I had to dodge another one since I would never one-shot the Ninetales because that's just impossible for me right now. And that amount of RNG was beyond annoying to get. But eventually I did get that, and then after 3 hours of trying this gym battle over and over and over, I got super lucky and dodged a Will-O-Wisp and then swept with rollout, and that's about it. It was an easy win from there. Easy badge, 3rd badge, let's go gamers, yeah. After Kabu, I headed to Hammerlock, did some story and plot stuff, beat up Team Yell again, and then, just as every other time I've had to battle Team Yell so far, I battled Hop immediately after. So this battle was really annoying. It wasn't hard, but I got paralyzed by Gulp Missile because the Pikachu version does that, and then I got fully paralyzed like 5 different times throughout the battle and then missed 3 different rollouts as well, and then I still won because Hop is just that bad, I guess. And then, after Hop, was the next gym leader, which was Alistair, and I underestimated Kabu, and I very much so overestimated Alistair. I did, however, use very large IQ, big brain strategy for this, so hear me out, right? His Yamask, turn 1, usually goes for a disable. So I use Astonish to bait his disable into disabling Astonish, so then I used rollout against Mimikyu, and then the 5th rollout ended up knocking out the Cursula, which actually worked out super well, because then I could Dynamax and just attack Gengar with Max Darkness and literally one-shot it, which I didn't expect, which was crazy to me. And then, first attempt, literally didn't even take multiple attempts. First attempt, 4th gym badge, let's go. After the gym was my final battle with Bede, at least until the end of the game, which is great for me because I don't like him as a character very much. Not at all, actually. And then he got swept by Sucker Punch. He has all Psychic types at this point in the game, so Sucker Punch just sweeps an easy win, easy life. And then it was time for me to work my way towards the next gym, which I had honestly believed going into this challenge that it would be my hardest battle in the entire challenge, which is, of course, the Fairy Gym Leader, Opal. So I grabbed the Eviolite because there is no chance I am getting through the rest of this game without the Eviolite. I grabbed the Eviolite, and then I just swept the Fairy Trainers with Rollout because they're very easy. And then the questions were super important in the battle because without the stat boosts, if my stats dropped, there was no chance. If my stats dropped during the actual gym battle, not a chance. So on my first attempt, I lost to the Togekiss, and there was no chance I could have gotten past it. So I went back and leveled to level 66, and then I still got outsped by Togekiss. So then I came back again at level 75, because I figured a significant increase was going to be required for such a, you know, difficult gym typing for me. And then I made it to the Alchemy a few times, but I never really had enough HP to survive a GMAX finale. So after, I think it was 2 days of non-stop attempts, just constantly playing the game and trying this gym battle over and over, I pretty much needed the perfect storm of RNG, which I needed to not get poisoned by wheezing, because the wheezing goes for sludge and poisons you. I needed to not miss rollout literally ever. If I missed rollout, it was an immediate loss because they hit too hard. And I had to outspeed everything, which not really RNG, but I did end up doing that. And eventually, I got the blessed run I needed, where I didn't get poisoned. I made it to the Alchemy with over half my HP left, and I was able to use the attack and defense boosts from the questions to beat Alchemy with 3 Max Phantasms and an Astonish, which is crazy that it even took that much. So, with a obnoxious amount of time and RNG to take this gym down, I eventually got my 5th gym badge. The next town was Sirchester, and I got stopped on the way by the greatest cutscene in Pokemon history. If you disagree, I'm sorry, but literally, I don't like Bede, and seeing him in stressed out mode made me very happy. And then after that, I had to battle Hop, because of course I did. Hop likes to battle at every corner of the game, and his Trevenant went down to Sucker Punch because it's a ghost type, and then the rest of his team went down to Rollout. Literally one use of Rollout swept all the remaining Pokemon on his team, and with that, it was easy win, and I moved on. So I got to Sirchester, and then finally got my stab move, which was nice. I finally got Draco Meteor. I replaced Attract because I didn't really need Attract. And then I realized that my fears for Opal distracted me from what I should have been scared of, which was, of course, the Ice Gym Leader, the 4 times effective Ice Gym Leader, Melanie. This battle has infinite amounts of problems for me. So one of the issues is that Rollout is super important because it's super effective and can actually handle the Pokemon in the battle. But then the issue is Ice Cube, which has Ice Face, and no matter what level I am, even if I'm level 100, it will still outspeed me because of Ice Face. So I had to figure out a way around that, and overall, there was just so many things to overcome in this battle. It was not fun whatsoever. During a couple of the strategies I tried, the Frostmoth would end up going for a Feather Dance, which would immediately cost me any chance of winning because there's no way I'm getting through the Lapras with half attack stat. I tried tons of different strategies, kept losing, went all the way to level 100 and still couldn't beat it. I was actually convinced that I had no chance of beating this challenge at all. I was going to use potions to get through it and then just say I lose, but I'm going to see what I can do with the rest of the game. But then, my biggest brain strategy of 2020, my friends. Biggest brain strategy. At the time of me playing the game, at the time of me playing through this challenge at this point, there were mystery gift codes that I could enter to get BP. I entered the codes and got BP, and then went to, I forget what city it is, but one of the cities, and bought vitamins with the BP. It's not cheating, because I didn't use any exploits or cheats or anything. It's all within the game. So I got my BP, bought my vitamins, and then EV trained myself. So thankfully, the Frostmoth does not have Ice Scales, so my higher special attack stat allowed me to one-shot it with Draco Meteor. Darmanitan died to a Sucker Punch, Ice Cube died to a -2 Max Wormwind, which avoids the Ice Face, and then 2 Max Rock Balls beat Lapras, and through the power of the largest IQ in the game, which is me, I was able to earn the hardest gym badge to this point in the challenge, my 6th gym badge. Okay, so at this point, I made a huge mistake. So I took a break after the Melanie battle because it took me like 3 different days of attempts to do this, and I was so sick of it and didn't want to do it anymore. So I just took a break and came back later. And when I came back, I forgot to hit record. So the things I missed were a Team Yell battle, a Hop battle, and a Marnie battle, but all of them just got swept by Rollout because of the stats I needed for the Ice Gym anyway, so fortunately, it wasn't anything super important that was missed out. There was no struggles or anything, so at least there's that. So going into the 7th gym, I had to bring another Pokemon because it forces you to bring a second one because there is a double battle, and I just brought some trash Bunnelby from the start of the game because it doesn't do anything, so there's no reason not to. And I got through the trainers pretty easily, wasn't that hard, and then the battle against Piers, the gym leader, was incredibly obnoxious. I have never had a more annoying battle than this before. It wasn't hard, it was obnoxious. So, the Obstagoon has Obstruct, which blocks my rollout. The Scrafty has Sand Attack, which makes my rollout miss. And between these two alone, it's nearly impossible to build up said rollout. So when I was able to build it up, it was great because, I could, get some damage off, but then the Obstagoon would live it and go for a counter and one-shot me. So after a couple of hours of failed attempts, I eventually got super, super lucky and got a critical hit on Obstagoon. That literally is the only chance I had at winning this because of the RNG. So that crit left me with just enough HP and also a little bit of RNG to land 3 rollouts and take out Skuntank. And finally, this was the most annoying badge for sure, finally win the 7th gym badge. So after that torturous amount of RNG, it was finally time for the best gym leader in the game, the undisputed best gym leader, Raihan. So 2 Pokemon are required for this because it's a double battle. The entire gym is doubles, so I just used the same useless Bunnelby because I had to bring something. So I didn't use it. It didn't do anything, just so everyone knows. It didn't do anything. The Applin carried. So the gym trainers were pretty easy, and I went to this one assuming that it was actually potentially going to be harder than Melanie because it was a 2v1 and Applin would just take so much damage from like Duraludon. But I was pleasantly surprised, to say the least. So the first attempt I lost because the Sandaconda got off a glare and I just got fully paralyzed and couldn't win at that point. But then in the second attempt, Max Wormwind pretty much swept because Sandaconda went for an Earth Power rather than Glare, and it was pretty much easy from there. So final gym badge won by a professional gamer, aka me. And with that, it was final tournament time. Very excited, very hyped time in the gameplay. So the first battle was against Marnie, and just like her degenerate of a brother, this battle took a very annoying amount of RNG because her Scrafty goes for Swagger. So it took a ton of attempts, but eventually I managed to get the +2 from Swagger while avoiding hitting myself in confusion, and I was able to, one-shot all of her Pokemon, including the Grimmsnarl, with a Max Rockfall. The second battle was against Hop, and the first attempt got completely hacked out because his double apparently is very stally and very annoying, and literally was not able to get through the double until I had only 9 HP left, and then I lost to Corviknight. So in the second attempt, I missed a rollout at least 5 different times, which cost me the battle again, and then the battle was super beatable, but I was so frustrated with the amount of unluckiness I was getting. And then the third and final attempt was easy mode because a Draco Meteor took out the double, and then the rest of Hop's Pokemon went down to a rollout because I didn't miss this time. And then the tournament took a break for the actual story of the game to finally begin. After all the gyms, the story of the game is finally beginning. We're actually getting some plot there. And after fighting Oleana's loser minion annoying Steel-type trainers that were really slow but not that hard, it was time to fight her, and this battle was a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. So turn 1, Frostless goes for Will-O-Wisp, which is super annoying. And then Frostless turn 2 after the Will-O-Wisp, even if it's successful, goes for Double Team. Even more annoying because then Sucker Punch is literally unusable. And when I did manage to get through Frostlass, there was a Venoshock, Dragon Pulse, Salazzle, which did incredible amounts of damage to me. And then I ended up having to use a Lumberry again, similar to the battle against Kabu, to avoid the burn. And when I very, very rarely got the G-Max Garbodor, and when I did, it would just, one-shot me with a G-Max Malodor because it's a Garbodor. And 2 different times with the Garbodor lived on 1 HP, and I would have won, but then it gets a critical hit, which literally 2 different times got a critical hit to beat me. I was going to throw a controller that day, let me tell you. So after a few more attempts, I got a critical hit of my own and just barely won the battle. I can guarantee if I didn't get a crit, I never would have beaten this. I would have had to use potions for sure. So it wasn't quite as frustrating as Piers or Melanie, but they were very, very unfun. So after the little bit of story of the game, we finally went back to the tournament, and then Bede was technically my next opponent. He sort of cheated, but whatever. And he would have been a major wall for me, but then I got a critical hit on his Hatterene and won the game because I'm just that skilled, It would have been hard because of Fairy type, but not critical hits. Let's go. After Bede was Nessa, who just got swept by Rollout and Max Wormwind pretty easily. And then after Nessa was Alistair, who, unlike his first battle, was very obnoxious because his Pokemon all ran Protect, Will-O-Wisp, Strength Sap, and a bunch of other things that apparently nuked my ability to use Rollout. So, once again, I had to make use of the Lumberry to avoid the burns from the Chandelure. Lumberries are going to be incredible in these challenges, from what I can tell. So, I avoided the burn, and it allowed me to get the G-Max Gengar with enough HP to eat a Max Ooze, and then one-shot it with a Max Darkness once again. Next up was, I believe, the semifinals of the tournament against Raihan, and the first battle was actually a loss, even though I expected this to be easier than the gym battle, because I ran out of Draco Meteors, because G-Max depletion lowers your PP. In the second battle, I beat Turtonator and Torkoal with a rollout, and then got super lucky and missed a rollout against Flygon, and that's lucky because it allowed me to preserve just enough Draco Meteors to sweep with Max Wormman from there and win the battle. So after all the tournament, right before the Battle Leon, the story stuff, once again, finally started, and then I had to battle Chairman Rose. So this was hands down. This battle was without a doubt the worst Pokemon battle I have ever had the displeasure of participating in. I have never had such a hard time with a battle in my life. I did this is the reason this took so long. This battle took me like 3 weeks to do, of straight, like 4 hours a day trying this battle over and over and over again. I literally came so close to giving up so many times using potions, and then I got top tier RNG. So, his Escavalier had to miss Mega Horn. I had to get 2 minimum rolls in order to restart rollout against Berserker. I had to not flinch from Berserker and not get screeched from Berserker. I had to dodge a Gear Grind from his Kling Klang. I had to land every single rollout and survive with just enough HP to get the 5th rollout. It had to be the 5th, couldn't be the 4th, on the Copperajah, the G-Max Copperajah. And I calculated the chances of all of the misses and avoided flinches and all of that happening, and it came out to 0.05% chance for all of that to happen in one run. I'm not a mathematician, so I have no idea, but that's not even counting things like damage rolls and them choosing the right moves and stuff like that. I'm bad at math, don't quote me on it, but that was the luckiest I've ever had in this run, and it was literally the worst battle I've ever experienced in my life. But anyways, Rose got beaten, is whatever. Moving on to Eternities. So the Eternities battle was pretty easy. Like the first one, the base form, was easy because of Draco Meteor. But then I lost to the Eternamax version because it assessed the threat, and it knows what Applin is the biggest threat to it. So it completely targeted me with Max Wormwinds and such, and then I just got destroyed. And then the second attempt I came back and just easy life, and then caught it in a sick Pokeball and moved on to the champion battle. Now, this is unfortunately where the Applin run comes to a close. So, I gave Leon... I did not give as many attempts as Chairman Rose, because Leon is not possible. It is not possible to beat Leon with an Applin, to my knowledge, to my skill, to my awareness of how this is supposed to work. So, he's a Haxorus. Leon has a Haxorus based on the starter that I chose. I don't think he would have had that normally. I'm not sure if he always has a Haxorus, but based on the starter I chose, which was Sobble, Leon had a Haxorus. And I could not survive any attack plus an Outrage from Haxorus. Outrage did way too much damage for me to survive any other attacks, and that was that. This was way less frustrating than the Rose battle, because I at least knew I couldn't beat this, but with Rose, I knew I could win. It just wouldn't be very easy. So this battle, I caved. I couldn't. I literally used every potion and stuff that I got in-game. I didn't buy any potions. I used every potion that I got throughout the game just to get to the end screen, because I wanted to see the end screen of myself with an Applin, because it was cool. So Leon is impossible. But with that, I technically beat Pokemon Shield with only an Applin at the cost of breaking my own rules about not using items. However, I'm still proud of how far I made it in the first place. I would still consider myself to, have been pretty, I would consider it to be pretty cool. So, do I think it's possible to win the final battle? No. Do I think it's possible to beat this game without items? With an Applin? Not at all. But it could be, and if you prove me wrong, please let me know, because I would love to know, because quite frankly, I hate that. I hate that I had to admit defeat. But anyway, if I had to describe the hardest battles in order, the hardest would be Leon, obviously, because I couldn't beat it. Rose would hands down be the second hardest, and the third would be Melody, because those battles were all just torture. They were just so bad. And there were other frustrating battles like Piers and such, but they weren't as difficult. They weren't hard. They were annoying, and that's the difference. But anyway, That's the end of this video. Thank you all for watching. Comment, subscribe, like, all the fun stuff, and I will see you all in the next one. Goodbye.